throughout history, not all murders have been driven by revenge or insanity. Instead, there are special cases marked by deeply disturbing and specific sexual desires. In this video, we delve into the most notorious serial killers who acted upon these specific motives. So, stay tuned. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer, a sexually motivated serial killer otherwise known as the Milwaukee Cannibal. A span of killings before being apprehended took place from June 18, 1978 to July 19, 1991. Dahmer was responsible for gruesomely murdering 17 young men whom he used to fulfill the sadistic sexual desire. The majority of victims were found outside, in bars or on the streets, and then lured by the killer to hotel rooms or his grandmother's basement. He kinda satisfied his sexual needs with the victims' bodies. This is one of the horrifying aspects of his crimes. He used to kill these people and dismember them into pieces, putting their body parts in the refrigerator to later cook, fry, make stews, and eat them. But the interesting part is, he wasn't sentenced to execution. Instead, he died in prison. So, how did this happen? His cellmate beat him to death. Why? He said it was because this man was a disgusting sick maniac, and he was so disturbed by him that he decided to kill him. He recalls a time when he was about to eat food, he would arrange the food to resemble human flesh and then pour ketchup on it to be like blood. And he was always kept talking about these things to the point that his cellmate could not tolerate it anymore and ended up killing him. And identified victims of Jeffrey Dahmer includes Stephen Hicks, Stephen Taomi, James Duckstader, Richard Guerrero, and many others. Theodore Robert Bundy, a serial killer, necrophile, and rapist who took many pseudonyms to hide from the police. A span of killings before being apprehended occurred between February 1, 1974 and February 8, 1978. Bundy was responsible for murdering and sexually assaulting more than 30 victims in Washington, Utah, Florida, and more. However, there are speculations that he committed up to 100 of sexually motivated killings. The majority of victims were young women who Bundy found on the street and lured into his car, although there were cases when he struck victims in their homes when they were sleeping. Bundy was known for exerting his extreme hypersexuality on his victims, by raping them after kidnapping them while they were handcuffed and or unconscious. He would also return to their dead bodies to continue his deviant sexual behavior until the bodies were so decomposed that it was no longer possible. The fact that he did this to at least 35 women in a period of 5 years show how extreme his case of hypersexuality was, and how horrifying his sexual urges were. Ted Bundy's idea of a good sex was to handcuff an attractive woman, terrorize her, and make her think that she is about to die. And the identified victims include Lonnie Trumbull, Johnny Lenz, Linda Healy, Donna Manson, Susan Rancourt, Brenda Ball, and many more. Gary Leon Ridgway, one of the most infamous serial killers who is believed to murder more than 90 victims, before being apprehended was active between 1982 and 1998, although some speculate that Ridgway killed up until 2001, otherwise known as the Green River Killer. He developed inappropriate sexual desires from adolescence and preyed for the victims that would be the least important for the society. Prostitutes. He liked killing prostitutes, he said, because they were easy to pick up, they were slow to be reported missing, and if he had any money on them, they ended up paying him for their own murder. Occasionally, he would have sex with decaying corpses, not because he found dead women more exciting than live ones, but because necrophilia was less risky than killing another woman. They were picked up by Ridgway on the streets, fooled into trusting him, and then raped, murdered, and dumped in wooded areas. The list of identified victims includes 46 names. With no small measure of pride, Gary Leon Ridgway says, "Strangling young women was his career. Choking is what I did." He boasted to investigators, "I was pretty good at it." For a serial killer in the United States, his career statistics are without peer. As the admitted Green River Killer, he has claimed responsibility for 48 documented corpses, with an estimated 12 more mouldering in the woods. He killed for 20 years without getting caught, a North American record for murderous longevity. Carl Panzeran, serial killer, rapist, and a burglar that took up to 10 different aliases to hide his identity. Active between 1920 and 1929 in Washington. The number of suspected victims is as high as 22. He also admitted to raping men when robbing them. He confessed in a diary and autobiography of raping and sodomizing over 1,000 boys and men, motivated by rage and often coupling the rapes with robbery. As well as killing and raping young boys, he found victims on the streets, sometimes got them drunk, and then robbed, raped, and murdered. The location of crimes was scattered across the states, from Oregon to New York. Two of his confirmed victims were Alexander Yuzaki and Robert Warrenke. John Wayne Gacy, a serial killer and rapist otherwise known as the Killer Clown. Active killings spanned from January 3, 1972 to December 11, 1978 before apprehension. Over the years, this man would consistently dress up as a clown and attend children's birthday parties, kids' hospitals, or even kids' charity events to perform as a clown. In 1968, Gacy was accused of sexually assaulting a teenage boy and attempting to assault another. He vehemently denied these accusations, and some community members believed him over the victim. He persuaded one of his employees to assault the victim in an unsuccessful attempt to stop him from testifying, according to the Killer Clown. This man buried 33 kids under his house, and no one suspected that he was the one killing the town's children, until the moment the police began to investigate him, not for murder, but for sexual offense. It was only then that they came to his house, conducted an investigation, and discovered the bodies of the unfortunate children buried in the ground. Gacy murdered and sexually assaulted 33 young men and boys. He lured his victims to a secluded location, his house, where they were raped and either strangled or asphyxiated, consequently being buried in the crawl space or elsewhere on his property. The list of identified victims includes 26 names, while 7 more victims remained unidentified. However, it took a couple of years for his murders to be proven. It wasn't until 14 years of being in jail that his verdict was finally issued and they executed him. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button and let me know your opinions about these murderers and their sexual desires in the comment section. Until the next video, see ya.